Although I think we're famous enough. I don't think we need an introduction.
Yeah.
Don't you know who we are? No intro required. Yeah. Of course, I love booty burning. I love glutes. That's what I want to train all the time.
Hey guys, super excited. We've got Alexa here, the legend herself. She's come all the way, legend in most people's books. Yeah, I just want to ask you a few questions and maybe get a bit of a workout in. What are your thoughts on the gym?
I have. Look, the first time I came out here was actually when the Real Movement Project was out here with Keegan, and obviously Keegan's a top coach, and any facility that kind of goes with him, he wouldn't come out here without a foundation for that. I think it's a great facility, perfect for an athletic population. You've got a ton of space, you've got the latest in equipment, you're always looking to evolve, and that's something that I look for when I'm doing any training. Are the people out there always being continually educated? Are they open-minded? Do they have space and equipment to evolve and go to the next level? Because the industry is changing. So yeah, I think it's a really impressive facility. I'd definitely come out here.
So tell me about where you train at the moment and where you work at the moment.
I have my own business, Creating Curves, which is primarily about empowering women in the weights room. So I like teaching the fundamentals of weights, encouraging women to get in and lift, not just for physical strength, but for the psychological benefits that go with it, but teach them how to lift correctly and teach them how to train for an objective. I think a lot of women especially are scared to get in the weights room, are scared to lift because they have this fear of being bulky. But they don't understand that it's not necessarily to do with the lifting weights, it's what is coming into the rest of their lives. We are all about training smart. We have a program that goes, there is a foundation behind everything and a method to our madness. We don't just run sessions for the sake of running it, and I think that's a really important thing to learn. When you first come into the industry, everyone is about like they're a clock watcher. They want to annihilate people. People should be lying on the floor, and that's what is defined as a good workout. Now I think we need to learn to train smarter. We need to learn how to program. We need to learn what is our objective and how do we get to that objective in the smartest, safest possible way. Now I think trainers and gym owners are almost negligent if they invalidate women's concerns. I think there is a way, an absolutely smart way of having those conversations with women which makes them feel comfortable in that environment, because there's nothing worse for someone addressing a fear of themselves to come in and be told that they're absolutely stupid. We should be about creating a positive conversation and a positive environment for women to embrace that. You only have to look at the likes of Kim Kardashian now, who's just come out and said that weight training has basically changed her life and her body. She doesn't do cardio anymore. It's all about weight training because she's been educated properly. She trains with someone who's very proficient in that area, and she has learned through hard work and perseverance and training the right way and eating the right way to support what she's doing in the weights room, that she can create the body that she wants.
Do you take a pre-workout, or is there a certain meal or something that you do before training yourself?
You know what? These days, no. When I was younger, my first job in the fitness industry was actually for a company called EAS, and they used to run this internationally renowned competition called the Body for Life by Bill Phillips. And EAS was actually a supplements company, and so I had an account, and every month I got whatever I wanted, and I would take pre-workouts, post-workouts, supplements, because I could. I didn't necessarily understand how they worked in my body synergistically, but I understood each of the different products themselves because I was selling them. I used to really get into my stimulants back in the day until I actually got adrenal fatigue from being too overstimulated.
Right.
So when I was in Hong Kong and I was doing half Ironman, I was actually taking a lot of pre-workout before that. And with all the training I was doing, I actually got into a permanent state of being overstimulated and my adrenals completely shut down. I was just perpetually exhausted. I couldn't get to sleep at night and I would wake up exhausted. I'd do my training session, which was 4 to 6 hours. I just want to come home and sleep. Didn't want to eat. And if I did eat, I wanted to eat crap because I just wanted sugar to fuel it.
Right.
And then essentially I got into a habit of I couldn't get to sleep at night, so I would take sleeping pills to go to sleep. Couldn't wake up in the morning, so I would just have copious amounts of coffee. Until I ended up going to a kinesiologist, and she was like, your body is completely burnt out. You need to take out the coffee. You need to take out the stimulants. And she gave me ginseng. Ginseng tea was the alternative because it actually supported the adrenal glands. And I didn't have coffee. I gave it up for probably close to a year. And I felt great. But the withdrawals initially from having that much and relying on it daily. Oh my God, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to, say, fat loss, no one actually looks at that side of life. They just go, well, I'm doing all the training I need and I'm eating perfectly. They've forgotten about all the other stuff that's happening outside of the gym and outside of what they're putting in their mouth, you know.
Do you train in the middle of the day or afternoons? Or
I think everyone has their morning ritual. Morning rituals for me is really important. A coffee, just a long black, makes me feel like my day has started. I'm usually training just before lunchtime, so I finish my last client, then I do my training session, then I'll have lunch. Yeah. It just works out really, really well for timing for me.
Yeah. And then you train people in the afternoon as well?
No. In Hong Kong, I worked crazy hours. I would work all the morning and all at night. So I'd probably have, 9 or 10, maybe up to 12 clients a day. And I ended up hating my first client and my last client because I was didn't want to be in the gym. I was so tired in the morning and I was so tired at night. And I just hated them for being in the gym. Yeah. I've worked out now,
And with the hip replacement, what exactly happened in that?
When I was in my teens and my 20s, I was really hardcore. I played soccer, I played American football, I did wrestling. My training was really hardcore, it was really high volume, it was really high intensity. I did WWF style wrestling.
Really?
My name was Glacier. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. But my body responded really, really well to that high volume, high intensity. I didn't need as much recovery. I was young, I was invincible, I wasn't getting injured. My body was really capable at adapting to different stimulus. I didn't need a big warm-up. I very rarely cooled down. I would just rock up to a game. Sometimes if I'd been out the night before and play. And still play well, And when you're young, you have that advantage. I think people take it for granted now. Last year was probably one of the most painful years of my life. I was diagnosed with degenerative osteoarthritis in my left hip, which essentially meant that within a space of 8 to 10 months, I went from being an athlete to not being able to get out of bed unassisted. I'd be lying in bed, I'd be in so much pain with a referred pain, I'd have to pick my leg up to get out of bed.
Wow.
Couldn't get out of the shower and stand on one leg to put my pants on. It was, I couldn't walk from here to the other end of the room. I couldn't walk 50 meters without wanting to cry because I was in so much pain. It was bone on bone for 10 months. Osteoarthritis, there is a partial hereditary basis. My dad had 2 hip replacements. But then because I'd done so much high impact sport, I actually had torn the labrum top and bottom. Like a Pilates lunge one day and just hearing this whole as the hips slid off to the side, and I was just like, oh my God. I have so much more empathy and respect for athletes and for people who suffer from chronic pain. Never been through something so mentally exhausting. I can't tell you what chronic pain does to somebody's mindset. And I could completely understand how life post-sport, a lot of guys now are coming out with, saying that they're living with depression. Yeah. Because 100% it was one of the most exhausting experiences of my life. Yeah. In saying that, I trained the whole way through. I was lifting weights up until 2 weeks prior to surgery, I was rack pulling 140. I could still hip hinge, I could still hip thrust, I could still do hip extension. I just couldn't do anything that put my leg into flexion or that I had to balance on one leg. And my doctor said, my orthopedic surgeon said that it was the quickest recovery he had ever seen in a patient, and he put it down to weight training and knowing how to weight train around an injury. Because I love booty burning, I love glutes, that's what I want to train all the time. Yeah, my favourite body part to train.
I think we got the intro to the video just
there. That's all I want to train, just that. Yeah.
So with that being such a big thing at the moment, all the glutey work, glutey work. We could make that a word. That's a new word. The glutey work.
Being glute booty building, yeah. The glutey building, yeah.
What do you think about it? What's your thoughts on it? Obviously you like it, but
I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's our powerhouse. So from a performance point of view, it's awesome that people want to strengthen their glutes and their hamstrings. Shape is good. And with shape comes strength, because if you're going to get shape, you have to get stronger. So, as a byproduct, you're training for performance. For guys, I think potentially the hip thrust and the glute bridge was never part of their repertoire until they understood that is their powerhouse. And if they want to run faster or leap higher or be stronger across the board, yeah, I love it. I love the new trend.
Yeah, it makes sense. Advice to an 18-year-old version of yourself, just
aside from don't take footy players. Listen to your body. Don't just do what the latest fad is telling you to do. I think of it as I was pretty lucky back then in that, there was no social media. So I didn't have the likes of influencers to contend with giving out, and I say this as a massive generalization because there are some people out there who do know their stuff. So, do take that with a grain of salt, but there are definitely people out there who don't know what they're talking about, who are talking about something that's really relevant for them or that they're getting paid to say. I didn't have to contend with any of that. I worked in an industry where we were about science, so working for a supplement brand, I did have good advice. However, learn to listen to your body. If a food doesn't make you feel good, don't eat it. If training doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. Find something else and take care of your body. I never did mobility. I never did stretching. I never did recovery. I never focused on stress management. I didn't worry about sleep because I was young and healthy and invincible and thought I was a superhero. And when you're young, you get away with it. When you're older, all of that stuff catches up to you. So I wish I'd known that side of things, the other side to training that I do now.
Yep. What's up for you in the next 5 years? What's the big goal? What's the dream? What's the plan?
The plan for the next 5 years, I said earlier, that when I woke up in the hospital room in ICU last year, I felt up to that point I'd had a job, and then it was in that moment that I felt I'd found my purpose. Well, this comes down to the charity that I work with. I work with a charity. I'm an ambassador for a charity called Live In, which sits in the mental health space. We're all about dispelling the stigma that surrounds mental illness and suicide. We want to promote those conversations that can save lives, and I do a lot of presentations in schools. And one of the last things I'd done before surgery was deliver a presentation in Townsville, and Townsville has one of the highest suicide rates in Australia. And as I was sharing my story of how I got into training and how I used it as therapy, I could see a girl on the front row was crying. And I was like, oh God, I've really triggered something here, we could be in trouble. And I watched her throughout the whole presentation. At the end of it, she came up, she gave me the most massive hug, and she was like, today you changed my life. Today you made me feel like I had something to live for, you made me feel like I wasn't alone. And I think in that moment, that was the first thing that I remembered when I woke up, and it was like, that's what life is about. It's about having an impact at grassroots. It's about teaching people that they're not alone. It's about giving people outlets, and about giving people options and letting them know there's help and support and whatever they choose to do that's out there. And when I woke up, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to have more moments like that. I want to have more conversations like that.
Like a lot of the clients that come in and see a personal trainer or a coach, if they're going to work, they're hating work, whatever's happening at work. They might be going home, hating what's happening at home. They're not going to speak to anybody there. They're coming in to you. You're that opportunity to be the bridge. And we are quite often that first line of defense, and we don't want to miss it.
No, don't waste it. I mean, I have one client now, and I always tell the story because it's so touching for me. I have a client called Lizzie. She's a high-powered corporate lawyer. She'd never been in a weights room, ever. She also lives with bipolar. And I say lives, not suffers, because I don't like the word suffers. I think it's a really negative connotation. She's living with bipolar, and she was also getting bullied at work. For her, this 3 times a week, 45-minute weight training session was the only time that she had to take care of herself. And I remember the first time she did a 30 kg trap bar deadlift. And to some other people in our gym, they could lift that with their little finger and it would be nothing. To her, it was the best day of her life. And she made me video it. She took that video back to the office and she showed all the boys in the office. And she sent me a message later that day and she was like, today was probably one of the best days of my life because I went back to the office and I felt like I had control. I felt like I had been empowered to say no, to set boundaries, to stand up for myself, and to ask the things that I truly believed I deserved. And I was like, to be able to give somebody that sense of empowerment that then has that great of an impact on the rest of their life. We think we're just training people to, lift things up and move them around, when in fact you're training them to be stronger in all areas of their life. And quite often you are the only point of contact they've come across in their entire day that's of any positive impact. So
what an amazing, that just covers everything that I know this gym, and I know 98 and loads of the gyms out there, the community-based gyms are really trying to achieve. And we I'm sure you do, and we see things in here every day that are just like, oh my God, like I can't believe that we've made such a big impact in that person's life. Like everybody needs this, like everybody needs to be in here doing this, because there's still so many people that are sick and ill and obese and all sorts of things. And like it's, we have a little bit of the answer, I think, in the gym, and I think we need to get that out there more.
Yeah, well, I mean, you asked earlier about, there is a method to our madness. Sometimes a lot of the stuff that we put out on social media is really hardcore, and the same goes with you, and people look and go, oh my God, I could never do that. But there is a method to the madness. The way you program, there are certain days that are based on strength, there are certain days that are based on skill, but there are certain days that it's about work ethic, and it's about the mentality of being able to achieve more than you thought was possible, and pushing through those boundaries of being, of what it's like to be truly uncomfortable and sitting in that space and being like, oh my God, what do I do in this spot when I think I can't possibly go on? Because a lot of that time, again, it's not just about training physically, it's about those limitations, those self-imposed limitations that you set up in your mind. So 100% some of our Fuck You Fridays or those really hardcore workouts are designed around developing that attitude of not quitting. When the going gets tough. And that's just as important a part of training as the training itself.
I can see someone sitting at their desk and the boss has asked them to do something that's pretty much impossible, and they have a flashback to that training session in the morning.
2K row where they're like, no!
And they just kept going. That's life. Life is actually getting a little bit too comfortable for a lot of people with our air conditioning, with
100%.
our cars, with our coffee shops are absolutely everywhere.
Uber Eats, we don't have to walk to get food anymore. They just deliver it right to our door.
Through a drive-thru.
Do you know it goes to schools now? I was in school the other day and they were like, I was at a school and they were like, you should talk to the students about preparing their food because a lot of them just get Uber Eats. I'm like, they what?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. So no one's even learning how to cook anymore.
Wow. And I don't think they're getting sumo salads.
I don't think they are. No, I don't think they are.
All right. So challenge yourself. You've got to get out of your comfort zone.
100%.
Cool. Should we go train?
Yes,
After all that, I'm pumped to do it.
Are you pumped? Yeah, let's do it. High five.
After you.
Oh wow. Okay. What a gentleman.
Yeah. I played football once too.
Did you? My friends always say when I did sprinting, when I did cross-country stuff like that, I always said I was way too polite. Because whenever I would run past people, I would be like, excuse me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're overtaking it.
Hi. Oh, see, you know now. You know now. Look at you. Well, look, I've got one favourite one at the moment. It takes about probably a couple of minutes, like 5 minutes max before your workout. The whole point is that if you open the hips up, you can engage the glutes, because if your hips aren't open enough for you to be able to achieve full extension, the glutes don't fire. So it's kind of like your workout's very inefficient if you're not warming up correctly and getting the right muscle engagement.
Yeah,
so,
makes sense.
All right, so we're just going to come down.
Can we do it?
Yeah. All right, so.
Yeah, sure.
Hip, knee, second toe. So this is a really good, when you're doing mobility, a dynamic warm-up is really important because it allows you to see if there's any imbalances going on, any structural stuff going on, primes your nervous system, allows you to engage the right muscles, prepares the way of movement. You're going to turn that foot. Now just be careful with your back foot. What we're going to do here is just going to sink down. So all this does, you get a beautiful glute stretch at the top, and then you'll get your QL and everything underneath. The lower portion of the back. 3 to 5 seconds in every position, and I'm going to pivot through the center. We're going to come into Cossack squat. So my cues for this one are basically more about actually trying to get this heel on the ground, because people don't understand that they need calf and ankle mobility to be able to squat properly. So that is essentially a single leg squat, and then we come into a hip flexor. So this one here, we don't want to arch the back. The more you can squeeze the back glute and reach up and out of the hips, the more you're going to open through the front of the hips as well. It just gives you a beautiful stretch, because this area, stretching through the glutes, is actually really hard to do. And I also find that we talk about engaging the glutes a lot, but if they're too tight, you also run the risk of the lower back kicking in all the time. So a lot of people who've got really tight glutes are getting a lot of lower back pain as well. So it kind of, there's that fine line.
100%.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be something that happens.
It's inevitable. With the more booty building, people take the other side of things a lot more for granted, from here, you might be able to do the next one though.
Yep.
So I would do like probably 6 to 10 of those and just flow through it, holding everything to 3 to 5. And then the next one is like more of a squat warm up, but again, opening up through the thoracic. Because again, if your upper back is too tight and your hips are too tight, it just goes into your lower back. So I would come down, so here you go with this, elbows on the inside, and then from here you want to stay nice and low. You're going to open up, the other way. And then this is the favourite part of the stretch, arms up. Full neural stretch, so you want to tuck the head all the way underneath. And then again, it also helps release your lower back from when you come back into your squat. So I'd probably do like 5 or so of these as well. It's fun, people don't. A little thoracic rotational mobility as well.
So simple.
It's so simple. And both of those take, like literally 5 or 6 minutes. You are?
Well, also it has like boot on. That's good that you do that, but
Those ones?
Yeah.
Partners. Yeah.
Happy thrust?
Hip thrust.
That's right.
Always wanted to learn how to do these.
Every guy should know.
So it should be natural then.
Yeah. Just saying.
Then it's like, oh, I've done these before.
Yeah, there are. This is also a functional exercise.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so talk me through this. So I just hold here and put.
Yeah, you're just going to step in, feet up on the blades. You're going to put the shoulders back.
This is really interesting.
We can play around with the distance that you are forward and back, but if you want to have a...
So I'm always, if ever I haven't got my hands anywhere, they're usually
Yeah.
making sure that my ribs, because if I lose my ribs,
Yeah.
it just goes straight into my lower back.
Yeah.
And I think most people
Yeah.
end up that same thing as like either here or it's like cueing people not to.
Yeah.
So I'm always like tuck your chin.
Let's talk through. So the mistakes that we see a fair bit. So if you want to do the, if you can do it, the pushing through, like pushing too far through, and
Oh, the hyperextension.
hyperextension, kind of.
This is so fucking.
Kind of, but yeah, just going up and pushing way too far, and then it's just going to be hamstrings and back. Working
Okay,
that
from
one.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, see how hard, like the hamstrings?
Hamstrings are on.
Sort of
So if
up.
I put more weight in my toes here,
Yeah.
it's hamstrings.
Hamstrings. And then if you go to heels,
Heels, it's more glutes.
yeah. If we keep the ribs down, more glutes.
Yeah. So it's almost, but not quite, like a slight posterior top, like a tilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to spend more time at the top of the movement.
To the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yeah, not a lot of people feel that much out of the bottom. Do you find?
No. I mean, I can feel them here,
Yeah.
but primarily because they've just
Just been on.
been on.
So that top section is
That's
definitely
where all
most.
the work happens, 100%.
What do you think? Should we add a bar as well?
Yeah.
Just to see again. I've got a fat bar.
Fat bar. Oh, good. Jesus Christ. All right, this really is 50 Shades.
About breathing, when you breathe.
Usually at
Breathe.
there.
Nice. Pull. Out and in at the top. Or in all the way down.
In there.
Cool. Up. In the bottom. Top. See the control. Really thinking about what you're doing. Not just pushing that bar up. See the control of the glutes all the way through. Especially at the top. That pause is awesome. The core is saying on.
Core is saying, fuck off, we've had enough.
I've forgotten
And that's
keep
10.
counting. That's 7. That'll do.
And PTs never count. We don't learn how to count.
Never will.
No. But yeah, that's awesome. You can really feel the tension
Yeah.
through here.
So you can change a little bit of the angle of this bad boy.
Yeah, right.
Which is probably the best feature, and that can go back and forth.
What would you change it for?
Probably when you're flatter, you'd actually get a little bit more of the glutes.
Yeah, right. So why on an angle? Oh, so this way? Okay. This is like a leg press now.
Yeah, a little bit. Like it can actually, feels a fair bit different. You can still concentrate on the glutes. So it's a bit harder for you to sort of push through that range.
Yeah. Your quads want to kick in?
Yeah. Yeah, just concentrate on the quads for a bit. Stay forward. It's just different.
You do feel it though.
Yeah.
It actually, because there's more support on the
I like
upper
it
back.
up there when it's single leg. I'll let you out of it. So then obviously the issues with the stability.
Yeah.
We're going to try and press up. Do you have a cue to actually touch the actual glutes?
I'm very hands-on. It almost borders on awkward. The glutes are really tactile. They respond very, very well to being touched. Same as the calves, same as the hamstrings. Like I find the back of the body tends to be very, very responsive to tactile cues. So yeah, if I'm not in there, I'm like.
Chest, you sort of.
Chest, you do.
Chest, you go, oh yeah, but somewhere in the back, yeah.
100%, because you're used to engaging all of these all the time. So someone putting an emphasis on somewhere else, you're like, okay, now I understand it. Yes.
It's kind of got to be pretty tight in there, but we can move that back and forth as well.
How is this? Because this, I mean, it looks very similar to a glute ham, but obviously this is here. So how is this different or more than as opposed to a glute ham?
So this is actually going to assist us.
Okay.
So all the weight that I've got in there, which is heaps,
So maybe you won't go down?
should hopefully make it fairly easy.
Yeah, right.
And what I find with making it like assisted is that like you can really concentrate again on using the right muscles.
Isolating it.
Because you don't have that fear factor of like, oh my god, I'm going to face plant, where you're like, I'm just going to use anything because I'm scared of.
How good is that first moment when you're on the glute ham and you get down there and you're like, I'm stuck? Yeah.
I think the sit-ups is crazy.
I've never done that. I did them once for a photo shoot and my lower back was sore for days.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Okay, so there's heaps of different ways you can use it, but the first one is to actually stay really square through here. And I like to
Pull up.
work up against that. It's a fair bit of weight on there. Just go to where you feel comfortable.
Head plant, face plant.
Yep. Control. All the way up. Even where you're actually putting weight through your feet into the plate.
Pushing in with your heels or your whole foot?
I'm actually trying to push my whole foot in to try and stay square. If you don't do that and you pull up against the pad, then you'll get even more hamstring. But I feel like then your back will want to not stay involved.
It's interesting because when we teach lifting, we teach about the whole foot. So it's like grip with the whole foot. Like when you first taught deadlifting, I know when I first came out of PT school, it was like all about shifting the weight back, and you teach people almost to lift their toes up because to get the weight shift. But now we know that if you don't grip with the whole foot, you can't get the entire posterior kinetic chain. So yeah, it's interesting that you do that. Do you turn your feet out slightly, or do you?
You can mix it up. Like it'll just hit slightly different areas. But yeah, again, like what you said, for definitely for athletes, I try and have the feet planted wherever possible. If it's a bodybuilder, they might care about aesthetics more. They might go for.
And would you do say for example, I train some dancers as well who are always externally rotated, so I do a lot of stuff in internal rotation just to counteract that. But you could essentially train all the different muscles in the hamstrings, right, by just changing your foot position. Yeah. He just wants me to fall off.
Hang on. Okay. So then you can slide your knees forward. Just move the knee. You can move that up and down. Definitely a money shot.
How's this? I always have golem hands.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Stay tall. I want you to try and think flex, flex, flex. If that makes sense? Then through. And when you transition from going down, going up.
Yeah.
hamstrings, glutes.
Back.
We'll try it with a bit less weight.
Yep.
Because I feel like you've got to push it down. Here we go. Tall. Bit further. And control. Nice. Gonna do one more, just like that. One more.
Okay, Lana. Oh, mother of God.
How's that?
Yeah.
Do you want to try the bent leg?
Yeah.
Or bent hip? Oh, that's the ab check. Always have your core on. Always. All day.
Wow. Yeah, you really feel that, hey? I know the puppies are getting in the way.
See if you, yeah.
Where do they need to be? Over top?
Well, if you go like a bent hip, you can go
that has like
you can go,
a shelf. First world problem.
you can go under or over.
Got to design that.
I haven't experienced this myself.
From a female perspective, just saying, you know.
Product development happening right now.
Yeah. Okay, what
See
happens
if you
here?
push back side to back now.
Stay there.
Yeah, and you're going to keep that position of the hips.
So I keep pushing back.
But now you should keep that position and go roll over. Rolling. Lovely for the first one. Really jamming up through here.
Am I?
Going,
Doing something from that
No,
way.
you're keeping your position well.
Or just
it's just
activate?
on so hard.
Oh, yeah. My back will do anything.
Keep it bent. Yep. Go. See how far we can go. Stay strong. I've got your knee. Good. So if we go a bit further this one, go again. Got you. Yes. One more. Nose.
Yep.
Nose to ground.
Nose to ground.
That's it.
The money shot. You just want me to face palm there. Oh.
There it is. Up. You're stronger in that.
And this.
In that bent position, yeah.
Yeah, right. Who knew? I have hamstrings.
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 Good.
So my hip extension sucks, but my knee flexion is good.
Really good. We do leg cuts.
Not as many as I do deadlifts, so this is really interesting.
Strange.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see because I said like my back has always been jacked, and that's because I did so much horse riding. So if anything is ever going to kick in an exercise to save me, it's here.
Yeah.
And like it's always been like I had to work so hard at getting a reverse curve out of my back. Like when I sat up tall, it wasn't even my spine that wasn't straight, it was just the muscles either side are so developed that they just kick in.
Yeah. Same arms, very similar.
Good for Instagram though.
Yeah. Vertical leg press.
Okay.
This is where we can yell a bit.
Wow, you got happy say. You know my voice now, Horsey.
What I love about this one is if you think about what your absolute, like, if you have to
Squat?
Now, if you have to lift something off, like if someone was trapped under a car and you had to get it off them, like you probably wouldn't do that.
No.
You'd probably actually lie down on your back, try and get your legs under the car and push. So I reckon this is one of our absolute strongest possible positions.
Yeah, right.
Where we can create.
See, look at that, isn't that interesting? See, my natural position, see how, like I've broken my right ankle 4 times, and you can see the mobility difference in terms of like getting that flat.
Yeah.
Like I have to actually flatten that in because my natural position is with my heel off.
Wow, and that's already got a slight angle and you've got a heel.
Yeah. So I do all of my squatting and deadlifting in bare feet because I don't want to exacerbate that. But when I do squatting for now, I do all my warm-ups in bare feet and then I have to elevate my heels to get the depth, to teach my body to go to the depth.
This
and then do all the ankle
also,
mobility.
it's like up and the handles are here, there's one on that side as well. This is safety, so this is how far you actually get squashed, which is not too much. Yeah, and then just like a normal leg press, just going to
Do
try
you
and...
go that way or that way? Or just
I don't mind, we can mix it up. Let's go straight first. Make sure we're keeping the backside down. Not going to let the spine roll over. Right it up. Cool. Let's go as wide as we can and we'll push the toes out. Yeah.
I've seen people replicate this on a Smith machine.
Yeah.
With a barbell.
Really safe. Nice.
That's so crazy, yeah.
Great exercise. Like for a leg press, how much you can actually feel in the hamstrings and now the adductors is crazy.
When I had my hip done, or like before that, when I was trying to do glute activation stuff, when I stopped being able to do single leg stuff, I would use the leg press and do single leg press and this to get my glutes and my hamstrings.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good.
Do you want to try, while you're under there, some throws? Do you feel safe enough?
I don't even know what that is, but yeah.
So you're just going to push and throw it.
Oh, wow, am I? Okay, so this
And then
is
catch, but I'd come into a normal stand.
Okay.
Start off small, like just, but the thing is what your legs are going to want to do is when you throw it, they're going to want to go that way. So you're going to have to work hard, obviously, to keep your feet up.
Otherwise I'm going to get
Hang on,
stuck.
well, let me go a little bit higher.
How much faith he has in me.
Go one higher. Yeah, I want ratings, but not to lose you. So just a little one to start off with.
Do you actually, does it leave your feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll leave your feet. Then you're going to catch again and go again. Yep. When you get the hang of it, it's like 10 around the hip.
Yep.
Let's go a little bit faster. Push, push, push. Yes, come on, come on. Push, 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 and one. Awesome, knock it out.
Cool. Everyone say quads. And glutes and hamstrings.
Everything. It's it's actually on Puffing Iron. They have a machine like this, and that was when I was like, oh, cool.
It's good.
To get one.
They use it for a lot of the MMA fighters
Right.
to develop
they
explosive
push,
speed.
yeah, they push people off themselves.
Yep.
I hadn't even thought of that. But,
They use it a lot for MMA.
yeah.
Who is the guy? Oh my god. You'd love him too. He does so much nervous system stuff for festivals and things. He's like a basketball in the NFL. So all the glute building is like...
These are the problems you get. Cool.
Okay.
So getting
Getting in is the hardest part.
super easy.
Right. Okay. Facility or athletic facility should have a belt squat because inevitably athletes or general pop are going to get injured, and this is a really safe alternative for loading the same way as you would a squat or a deadlift, but without stressing the back or the spine. So
Yeah, you can see that you don't have to have the barbell across the back, which would put stress through here. It actually does the opposite. So, put some weight on?
yep.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Oh, okay, you missed that part.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, good. Like, okay. Get back up because it's going to be really awkward if I can't.
Keep those ribs down. Like that. That's it. Oh, good. You can use these hands a little bit as well. Just
Stay upright.
yeah, just a little bit to sort of feel where you're at. Let's go again. Nice. Good.
You could also you can use it because it keeps your spine
Exactly.
upright, so it actually isolates.
Another thing I like it weirdly is just to go behind the head for people who often can't go, especially people who are really used to having it up there. Even just giving them a dowel or something to keep all the cues that they're given when they're doing their squats. Sweet. We can do split squat now.
So am I bending this knee all the way down, or?
Yeah, if you need to readjust the belt a little bit. Sweet as well. Gosh. Good. Push your front. Push your front heel. Drive forward. The one that I like on this as well is if you push all the way forward and then actually come all the way up on your toes, so almost like you're sort of taking off into a sprint. So you're going to go up and then through. So I'm just going to drive through here. Yeah, a bit more this direction. That's it. Yeah. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
So you're getting like that full
Full extension.
Full extension. A lot of the weightlifters as well, just to try and get the hips going through first and then toes, will work on this because as soon as they get
Oh,
the
what,
bar,
for Olympic lifting?
Olympic lifting, yeah, like so on the snatch, they will cue, we're going to push back, hips all the way through, then toes. Because a lot of us like to go toes first. That's it. Hips all the way through and then go. Alright, so start off little. And if you're feeling comfortable with it, we'll try and get a few out. Hips right through. Good. That's it. That's it. Just hands up to the knee. Good. Get up. Do 10. Up. 9. Come on. Push. 8. Up. 7. Go. 6. Up. Come on. Up. 5. Up. 4. Come on. Up. 3. Up. 2. One more. Up. Good. That's that bad.
Such a power athlete.
That's good, hey?
Yeah, it's very similar,
Similar.
breathing wise.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to spin around. We're going to try some boxing now. Should we?
What?
I'd like to say that I've actually tried this on someone before. But no, what we might try.
Oh, are you sure?
1 second.
Oh, I'm good. I don't know how this would work. How do you box off here? Like, sit down in here. It's even like, oh, that's a much better position.
Oh, sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
lucky.
got me. Yeah. And left, right. Good. Good. Just left. Just left. Left, right. Good. Left. Left. Left, right. Feel good?
Yep.
Yeah. Ready? Left, right. Good. Left, right. Left, left, right. Left, left, right. Good. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right. Left, right. Duck. Oh.
Boy, now things shit's getting tricky now.
Left, right, duck. Left.
Oh, really?
Left. Left, right. Duck. Good. March. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I couldn't even count. Too
That's
fast.
20. I know. I'm so.
So new belt
How
is
good
needed.
is this? If you want to look tough and badass, this is what you should do.
Yeah, just wrap a chain around your hips.
So why would you, obviously, because, I mean, I love boxing.
Yeah.
There's extra pressure and weight in the hips that's holding you back, so the rotation is harder.
Yeah.
I felt most of that calves,
Yeah.
like the fatigue through here, and also because that is compressing
Yeah.
through here, so breathing is a little bit compromised.
I'd be thinking rugby.
Yeah, right.
Like where they're getting tackled and still have to drive through, or if they're trying to push in a scrum. Rugby league to some extent, but also the boxers would be more just moving around. Because you think about doing 12 rounds.
That's
like
really
That's
hard.
Probably a bit
Because when you say march, you want to do this, but reality, you should be like bouncing.
back and forth, yeah.
Yeah.
Just really cool.
Interesting.
That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah, good.
That's the gold spot. You ready for the hardest bit?
Yeah.
Hardest bit?
Let's go. What's hardest bit?
Power runner in the pendulum.
The what? What? The prowler and the pendulum.
Power runner? Oh, we can
Oh,
do
the
power
power
as
runner.
well. That's just hectic.
Oh, yeah.
We got that. Like, no one's ever done that.
No one wants. Oh look, no one's ever done
I
that.
don't
What
know
do you
if-
say
I
to
don't know if we
like?
could do it.
Prowler into pendulum.
Can we just clock that?
Into
I don't
pendulum.
know if you could do this, Alexa.
3 Ps. I don't know.
I don't know if you could do this.
If you
What would you
can,
say to a bull?
I'll
Like,
do
what
it.
is a red flag?
So we
I
give
don't
it a
know
go?
that you can do this. Yes.
I'm happy to let you
Yes.
try.
Hell
We
yeah.
talked about. I have to let you try. What is this conversation?
Let's do it.
What is this?
Yeah. What is this?
This is the power runner.
Oh fuck.
Power runner.
This sounds horrendous.
This
by the way.
this really, because you're so tired now, you're going to feel a bit in your quad. But this for the glutes, unbelievable. But it takes a bit of coordination.
Oh no, okay. This could be fun then.
Really try to make it as close to sprinting as possible.
I feel like I've probably said I can do something when maybe I actually can't, but we're going to find out in 2 seconds. I can never have someone telling me they don't think I can do something.
Think
Ever.
you can't do something?
Can't do something, whatever. Trevor. If only 98 Riley Street could see me now.
Less glutes.
So your toes and that little toe thing.
Heading in. Do it. Head through.
God.
So you want to find your end
So
rate.
you're like sprinting against gravity with all sorts of shit on there.
All sorts of shit. You won't go back too far. Then duck down and under.
Shit, I'd say.
Yeah, so try and find that end range where one leg can slowly speed up. So quicker change. You see how the band gives you without the band? Then we're going to get into this one. And we're going to do, yeah, perfect. And then you're going to basically try and get the backside to touch your heels. And try and drive in the direction of the swing rather than feeling like you're going to drive straight back or up. You're going to push back. And so there's no weight on that, by the way.
Don't tell people that.
But it's very hard with that weight. So we're going to do one full lap. You're going to do 1 minute on Power Runner. And then we're going to do as many reps as you can on Pizza.
Oh, I hate that.
And for every rep,
I get a caramel koala.
you get the caramel koala, and we'll donate. How much? How many do you think you get? Let's go with $5 for every rep
Nice.
to whatever charity, unless she gets 500.
Mate, I'm not stopping now. I'm going to be here till like 7 p.m. It's like,
You
no,
can't
no
pause.
more.
You can't pause. Once you stop at all, that's it.
Oh, wow.
So it needs to
okay.
be consistent. Instead
Yeah,
of that
right.
much money.
Oh, fuck, I don't get one. It's going to be
you'll
very
get-
lonely $5. Sorry, Lemon. You can
is
commentate
it.
as we go.
So she's going to do.
Back, yeah?
She's going to do the prowler, the full length of the track, 60 metres. And then we're going to go into the power runner, which absolutely creates so much lactic for a minute. We're going to go across to the pendulum where we're going for max reps. People that have jumped on the pendulum fresh in here, like the absolute max that anyone's ever got is about 35, some get 40, just to give you some context. You ready?
Okay, I need some water. Where's the water at?
3, 2, 1, let's go. 30 minutes. Sure. You like those legs feeling heavy already?
All right, mate. I know I said you could commentate, but
Good job.
is that it? No.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, am I running?
Yeah.
I'm running.
Get straight in. Save the legs.
Save the legs. Okay.
So exactly 1 minute. I'll get the timer.
Hang on, sorry, just get into it. Yes.
We go power runner time. Goal here is a full minute. It's like a sprinting machine. And make sure that your legs are all the way. Stay long. That's it. Push all the way back rather than all the way forward.
There?
That's it. Yeah, that's the spot. Here we go. Should we start the timer now? No, just kidding. Still going. Push. Come on. A little faster now. A little faster. Go like that. 20 seconds. Go. Push. 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 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now for the money. If you can get out.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Really unpro.
This is a test. Every rep,
Come on,
$5.
$5.
Every rep.
Okay. Oh, fuck.
This is it. Been going for 2 minutes now. Ready? No stopping. Come on. Start off steady. Don't forget to breathe. The hands are out on the knees. I'm not sure.
Definitely not.
Nice and deep. Try and get those hamstrings to touch the calves. Let's go. What are we up to, by the way?
10.
10. Looking good. Come on. Get the depth. Hamstrings touch the calf. Come on, Alexa. Let's go. Come on. This is it.
Good, Alexa.
Push. Come on. Go. Hop. Doing great. Drive. Fire. Come on. Keep going. Keep going. Up. Drive. Push. 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 Come on. Let's go. Come on. Big breath. Go again. Go again. Go again. Go again. Come on. Hop. One more. One more. Come on. One more. Push.
2 more.
2 more. You got this. Yes. Easy. Come on. It's getting easier. Let's go. Drive out the bottom. Drive. Drive. Drive.
Oh, fuck.
Come on.
I'm just gonna like,
That's the first. Well done.
like, children.
I'm not sure what this is called.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, good.
How many?
25.
25. What does that equal?
Let's go again. Let's not. 25 times, what was that, like 125?
Oh, that's the best money you've ever spent.
125, sorry, Lemon. That's all I got.
Well done.
Come here.
Give some love there, surely.
Wow.
That was brilliant.
The burn is real. So you know what, we broke you.
Break the record. That's the first time.
Well, now you know people can actually do it.
Yeah. Proving it. That goes on the board. You're the leader.
Oh, look, until tomorrow when everyone in here decides to do it and like outreps me by like 100 and I'll be like, for fuck's sake. Yeah, wow.
30 metre prowler, 1 minute.
I actually thought I had to do 2 laps, so I was quite pleasantly surprised when you were like, let's
Oh
stop.
yeah, that's kind of a bit too nice.
You were. You should have just yelled. I would have kept going too.
It's rare. Let you off. But you did well. It's good. Anything else?
Oh no, I think we're good. That's good though, far out.
So they're the machines and all.
It's really interesting because it's like, I know people talk a lot about the difference between cardio and weights. But you can see from that, we didn't really do any traditional cardio in that. Do I look like I'm breathing heavy? What is the definition of cardiovascular?
Exactly.
You know, like I am breathing heavy, therefore I'm taxing my aerobic, probably my anaerobic system as well to a certain degree. But we didn't really, aside from the prowler, and that was weighted, wasn't really any traditional cardio. So people who hate doing long endurance or steady state cardio and wanted to get their breathing up, there is no reason why you couldn't do a weights-based circuit, especially with lower body stuff, which is just all heart rate, because these muscles use so much energy.
It doesn't have to be quite that crazy, but
No, not quite that crazy.
Not quite that crazy.
But even when I was doing, like when I couldn't run on my hip, I'd go in and I would do like 45 minutes just like prowler or sled variations. So whether I was pulling it, whether I was pushing it, whether I was pulling it backwards here, all of that stuff, that was my cardio because I couldn't run or I couldn't walk quickly, but that was a really good way to control it. So.
Oh, for me as well, like running bores me, to be honest. So doing this sort of stuff is what I really like. But also, being on that last, you tell how, like, because it keeps you locked in, like your core's locked in.
Yeah, you can't.
It was literally like you weren't going to collapse through
No.
your core and hurt yourself. It was just literally
It's a really safe way of doing
just
it.
the legs just had to work the whole time.
All 3 of those exercises are pretty safe. So if you had any injuries, there is definitely ways that you could modify all of them. So yeah. Good jobs.